Two words. When I learned them, they changed my life. Lech lecha. God says them to our forefather Abraham. They're translated to mean go for yourself, but they also mean go forward. Why are these my favorites? Because we're all on a journey. Sometimes we're meant to go forward. Sometimes we're meant to stand still. Each move is part of a process divinely engineered with love to bring out the best in us. Welcome back to Torah in 10. I'm Jody Burkell, and this week, like every week, we bring Jewish wisdom to life for our life. It's a double parsha this week, Matos-MaseI, and Rabbi Sack says something epic, something that made the little hairs on my arm stand up. He says, life is a journey, not a destination. We should constantly set ourselves new challenges that take us out of our comfort zone because life is growth. I love this idea because I learned many years ago that life begins outside of our comfort zone, but easier said than done, right? Change is hard. Growth often comes with discomfort. But every situation we are in has been designed especially for us to help us achieve our full potential. We learn this powerful lesson in this week's Parsha, Masei, where the Torah lists the places where the Jews were camped from the time they left Egypt until the last stop before entering the land of Israel. We read how the Jews set out from X and camped at Y. They set out from Y and camped at Z. 42 stages in a journey of 40 years. Rabbi Sack says, we are the people who travel. We are the people who don't stand still. Whenever God wanted the Jewish people to go forward, he wanted them to progress to the next step in his plan. Each stop was custom made, tailor-made to help them grow towards reaching their goal. Each place came with its own challenges and blessings that developed the nation's character. Looking back at Jewish history, we can see that everything we've gone through as a people has made us into the nation we are today. But do we look at our own personal lives, our life travels this way? Do we think where we've been and where we are currently is where we're meant to be? And each step along our journey with its twists and turns and bumps in the road are here to bring out our greatness? Can we see the signs that God puts along our path? Sometimes he says, yield. Sometimes God says, stop. Sometimes God says we need to do a roundabout or we need to proceed with caution. The point is, do we recognize that it's God who's been guiding us all along? Or does our human nature overpower us and we think we would be much happier or more productive if only we were somewhere else? It's common to think, if only I were in a different job, if only I had a different family, different abilities, if only I were someplace else, things would be better. But according to the Chofetz Chaim, this idea is reflected in God's words to Moses when he says, at the burning bush, you'll remember, the place on which you stand is holy. Despite all its challenges, the situation that we are in right here, right now, is a holy one. That's right. The exact situation we are in has been designed just for us. This is the time and place where we will be able to grow into our best selves. Rabbi Sack reminds us, in life, there are journeys and encampments. There are times, moments in our lives where we should indeed pause, but then we must move on out of our comfort zone, which isn't easy. Changing a job, relocating, or learning a new skill is uncomfortable. I'm reminded of the story Rabbi Twersky tells about the lobster. Did you know that as a lobster grows, its shell becomes tighter and tighter and becomes very uncomfortable? In order for the lobster to grow, it has to shed its shell, making itself completely vulnerable as it looks for a larger shell to call home. Then, once that shell becomes too small, the lobster repeats the process. Rabbi Twersky says the stimulus for the lobster to be able to grow is that it's uncomfortable. We have to realize that, like the lobster, pushing ourselves out of our comfort zone, which is a time of stress, is also a time of tremendous growth. We can't eat them, but lobsters teach us a great life lesson. Rabbi Sack says, without encampments, we suffer burnout. Without the journey, we don't grow. And life is growth. There's no way to avoid challenge and change. We have to remember, friends, that life is a journey, and every stop along the way is leading us towards the promised land, our promised land. So, lech lecha, just keep walking, and we'll get there. If you've enjoyed the video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It makes a big difference. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom.